You've been told your whole life that fruit is healthy. Eat more fruit, more vitamins, more fiber, more antioxidants. And for most of your life, that was true. But after 60, some of that advice quietly changes and nobody tells you. Not your grocery store, not the packaging, not even most doctors, because these are fruits. They're supposed to be safe. But here's what I've seen after years of working with patients over 60. Some of the most well meaning, health conscious seniors I've ever treated were damaging their hearts with fruit, not donuts, not fast food, not soda, fruit. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly which ones and why. Now, before you click away thinking this doesn't apply to you, I need to warn you about something first. 3 of the fruits on this list are eaten every single day by seniors who are actively trying to protect their hearts. They're buying them at the farmer's market. They're blending them into smoothies. They're cutting them up every morning thinking they're doing something good. And one of them is bananas. I'll get to that in a moment. I'm Dr. Kelsey Olalade. I'm a cardiometabolic specialist, and for the past 2 decades, I've focused specifically on how aging changes the way the heart and metabolism interact. I've treated thousands of patients over 60, and what I can tell you is that the advice we give younger people about nutrition does not always translate after a certain age. Your body in your 60s is not the same machine it was at 35, and when you keep feeding it like it is, that's where the silent damage begins. Now I want to be clear about something before we go further. This video is not here to scare you away from fruit. Fruit is not the enemy. What I'm doing today is giving you the truth that most health content skips because it's complicated, and complicated doesn't always make for easy advice, but you deserve the full picture. So let me give it to you. Here's what happens inside the body after 60 that changes everything. First, insulin sensitivity drops. That means your body doesn't respond to sugar the way it used to. When you eat something sweet, your blood sugar spikes higher and stays elevated longer than it would have 20 years ago. Second, your arteries stiffen naturally with age. This is called arterial stiffness, and it means your heart has to work harder to push blood through your body. Any additional stress on the cardiovascular system hits harder than it used to. Third, your kidneys become less efficient at managing electrolytes, especially potassium. And potassium, which is found in many fruits, directly affects your heart rhythm. Too little is dangerous, but too much in the wrong situation can also cause problems. And fourth, many seniors over 60 are on medications, blood pressure medications, heart medications, diuretics, and certain fruits interact with those medications in ways that can quietly destabilize your cardiovascular health. So when I say certain fruits become risky after 60, I'm not making that up. There is real physiology behind this. And the 8 fruits I'm about to walk you through hit one or more of those pressure points directly. Now, I'll tell you right now, fruit number 6 on this list is considered a superfood by most nutritionists. You'll see it in every heart healthy article online. But for some seniors, it can trigger heart rhythm disturbances. Fruit number 4 spikes blood sugar faster than a can of soda in certain people over 60. And fruit number 2, almost no one warns you about it, because on the surface, it looks like one of the cleanest things you can eat. Let's go through them, starting with number 8, pineapple. Now, pineapple has a good reputation. It's tropical, it's refreshing, it's loaded with vitamin C and manganese and an enzyme called bromelain that helps with inflammation. Younger bodies handle it very well. But here's what changes after 60. Pineapple has a glycemic index that sits in the moderate to high range depending on ripeness. That means it raises blood sugar at a meaningful rate. For a 35-year-old with healthy insulin sensitivity, that spike is handled quickly. The body responds, the sugar is processed, and everything moves on. For someone over 60 with reduced insulin sensitivity, that same spike lingers. It triggers a larger inflammatory response, and repeated over time, daily pineapple or large portions of it contributes to the kind of chronic blood sugar fluctuation that puts steady pressure on the cardiovascular system. It doesn't happen overnight. It's slow, it's quiet, and because it's pineapple, nobody suspects it. The other issue is acidity. Pineapple is highly acidic, and for seniors taking cardiac medications, acid can affect absorption rates in ways that alter how well those medications actually work. So, pineapple isn't banned, but if you're eating it daily in large amounts after 60, it's worth reconsidering. Number 7, watermelon. This one surprises people almost every time. Watermelon feels harmless. It's mostly water, it's light, it's refreshing in the summer. What could possibly go wrong? Here's the issue. Despite being mostly water by weight, watermelon has one of the highest glycemic indexes of any fruit. When you eat a large portion, and most people do because it feels like they're just eating water, the sugar hits your bloodstream very fast. For seniors, that rapid hit causes what's called a postprandial glucose spike. And research consistently shows that repeated glucose spikes throughout the day, even from seemingly innocent sources like watermelon, are directly linked to increased arterial stress, inflammation, and over time, higher cardiovascular risk. There's also something else that most people don't consider. Watermelon is rich in a compound called citrulline, which the body converts to arginine, which then affects nitric oxide levels and blood vessel dilation. In most people, that's actually a good thing. But for seniors on certain heart medications, particularly those related to blood pressure, that interaction can create unpredictable changes in how the medication regulates blood flow. I've seen patients with perfectly managed blood pressure suddenly start having inconsistent readings. And after reviewing their diet, is watermelon showed up repeatedly, small portions occasionally. That's fine. But the large daily summer habit many seniors have, worth scaling back. Number 6, dried fruits. Now, this is where I need you to stop and really pay attention because dried fruits are marketed as health foods. Trail mix, oat bars, granola, natural snack packs, they're everywhere. And they carry the halo of fruit without any of the water. And that's exactly the problem. When you remove the water from fruit, you concentrate everything that's left: the sugar, the calories, the fructose, everything. A single cup of raisins contains roughly the same amount of sugar as eating 5 to 6 servings of fresh grapes. But nobody eats raisins the way they eat grapes. They eat them by the handful because they're small and they don't feel like much. Dried apricots, dried mango, dried cranberries, dates. These are not fruits after processing. They are sugar concentrates wearing the costume of fruit. For a senior with reduced insulin sensitivity, even a small serving of dried fruit creates a blood sugar spike comparable to eating candy. And the chronic inflammation that follows that spike, day after day, snack after snack, is directly correlated with cardiovascular damage. Worse, many dried fruits have added sugar on top of their natural concentration. The dried cranberries you're putting in your salad because you read they're high in antioxidants, check the ingredients label. You may be eating more sugar per serving than a chocolate chip cookie. This one is not complicated. If it used to be a fruit and now it fits in your palm without any moisture, treat it like a treat, not a health food. Number 5, this one surprises almost every patient I bring it up with. Mangoes. Mangoes are beloved, especially in warmer climates, where people associate them with freshness and natural sweetness and tropical health. But mangoes are one of the highest sugar fruits available, and not just in quantity, but in type. Mangoes are extremely high in fructose. And here's what matters about that. Fructose is processed differently in the body than glucose. It bypasses the insulin response and goes directly to the liver. At high doses over time, excessive fructose consumption is linked to elevated triglycerides, increased liver fat, and systemic inflammation, all of which place serious stress on the heart. And after 60, when the liver is already working less efficiently than it did at 40, that burden compounds. I'm not saying never eat a mango. If you're in good health and you have half a mango occasionally, that's very different from what I see in my practice, which is seniors who eat mangoes daily in large portions because they're natural. Natural and unlimited are two very different things, especially after 60. Now, number 4, I told you I'd come back to this. Bananas. Before I say another word, I can already hear the pushback. Bananas are full of potassium. Potassium is good for the heart. Every heart health article in existence recommends potassium. So, how could bananas be on this list? Stay with me because this is where it gets nuanced. Yes, potassium is essential for heart function. It helps regulate the electrical signals that keep your heart beating in a proper rhythm. A deficiency in potassium can cause dangerous arrhythmias, but there is a threshold, and more potassium is not always better. For seniors over 60, particularly those with any degree of kidney function decline, the kidneys become less efficient at filtering out excess potassium. When potassium builds up in the bloodstream beyond normal levels, a condition called hyperkalemia, the heart rhythm becomes unstable in a different direction. Irregular beats, palpitations, in serious cases, cardiac events. Now, here's the part that matters. Many seniors over 60 are on medications for blood pressure or heart conditions, ACE inhibitors, ARBs, potassium sparing diuretics. All of these medications already raise potassium levels as part of how they work. Add 2 or 3 bananas a day on top of that medication, you're stacking potassium in a body that isn't clearing it efficiently. And most patients have no idea because their cardiologist told them to eat more potassium years ago, and nobody updated that advice when the medication was added. There's a second issue with bananas specifically: ripeness. An unripe banana has more resistant starch and a lower glycemic impact. It's actually a much slower sugar release, but most people wait until bananas are yellow and soft because that's when they taste good. And an overripe banana has significantly higher sugar content and a much faster blood sugar spike than people assume. For seniors with blood sugar sensitivity, a ripe banana on an empty stomach in the morning is a recipe for a glucose spike that affects energy, inflammation, and over time, arterial stress. I've had patients eating 2 or 3 ripe bananas a day, genuinely believing they were protecting their hearts. They meant well. They just had outdated information. Bananas are not your enemy, but after 60 on heart medication, with any kidney consideration at all, the quantity, ripeness, and timing of bananas matters more than most people realize. Number 3, grapes. Grapes feel innocent, small, natural, no preparation required. People eat them absent-mindedly during movies or as a light snack and don't really count them as eating. That's the problem. Grapes are extremely easy to overconsume, and because they come in clusters, most people eat far more than they intend to in a single sitting. The glycemic load of grapes eaten in large quantities is substantial, and the polyphenols that make red grapes and red wine famous for heart health are present. Yes, but they come packaged with a significant fructose load. There's also a medication interaction concern here that almost nobody knows about. Grapes, particularly red and purple varieties, contain compounds that behave similarly to grapefruit in terms of enzyme interaction. They can interfere with the cytochrome P450 enzyme system in the liver, which is responsible for metabolizing many common medications. That means for a senior taking blood pressure medication, heart rhythm medication, or cholesterol medication, regular heavy grape consumption can affect how those drugs are processed and either amplify or weaken their effect. This is not a fringe concern. This is an actual pharmacological issue that most general practitioners don't think to warn patients about because they're grapes. They're supposed to be fine. Treat grapes as a portion controlled treat, not a free snack. Number 2, most people don't see this one coming: fruit juice. And before you say, I already know juice has sugar, let me show you why this is more dangerous than you think. When you eat a whole piece of fruit, the fiber inside it slows down the digestion of sugar. That fiber creates a buffering effect that reduces the speed and height of your blood sugar spike. The fruit also takes time to chew, to break down, to move through the digestive process. All of that matters. When you juice that same fruit, you remove almost all of the fiber. What you're left with is liquid sugar with vitamins, and liquid sugar, even natural liquid sugar from fruit, hits the bloodstream extremely fast. A glass of orange juice has roughly the same glycemic impact as a glass of soda. The vitamins are different. The sugar impact on blood sugar and insulin response nearly identical. For seniors over 60 with reduced insulin sensitivity and age-related arterial stiffness, starting every morning with a glass of orange juice or apple juice or any fruit juice is creating a cardiovascular stress event before the day has even begun, and the portion sizes make it worse. Whole fruit self limits. Most people eat one orange. Most people don't drink just one orange worth of juice. They drink a full glass, which represents 3 or 4 oranges with none of the fiber protection. If you're drinking fruit juice daily in your 60s because you believe it's healthy, this is what I want you to take from today. And number one, this is the one that I've seen do the most quiet damage. Packaged smoothies and store-bought blended fruit drinks. These products have completely hijacked the language of health. Green juice, super fruit blend, heart wellness formula. They use words like natural, raw, cold pressed, antioxidant rich, and seniors buy them specifically because they believe they're investing in their heart health. Here's what's actually in most of them. Multiple fruits blended together with zero fiber left. Concentrated juice bases, added sugars that don't have to be called sugar because they come from fruit concentrate. Portion sizes that contain 2 or 3 times the sugar of eating individual pieces of fruit. A single store-bought fruit smoothie can contain 40 to 60 grams of sugar, sometimes more. That's equivalent to eating an entire fruit bowl's worth of sugar in liquid form, with nothing to slow it down. And because the packaging is green and the label says heart healthy, seniors drink it at breakfast thinking they've done something good. This is where most of the quiet cardiovascular damage happens in health conscious seniors, not from the donut they had at the bakery, from the healthy smoothie they bought at the health food store. Now, before you decide to never eat fruit again, stop. That is not what this video is telling you. Fruit is still one of the most valuable food categories available to you, but the way you eat it after 60 needs to evolve. Here's what that actually looks like. First, eat whole fruit, always whole fruit when possible. The fiber is not a bonus feature. It is the mechanism that makes fruit safe. It is the thing that slows sugar absorption and protects your blood vessels from spiking. Second, pair your fruit with something that has protein or fat, a small amount of nuts, some Greek yogurt, a piece of cheese. That pairing further slows digestion and blunts the blood sugar response significantly. Third, eat your fruit earlier in the day. Insulin sensitivity is highest in the morning and declines through the day. Fruit eaten at breakfast creates a smaller spike than the same fruit eaten at night when your metabolism is slower. Fourth, choose lower glycemic fruits as your daily staples. Berries are the gold standard after 60. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. They are high in antioxidants, high in fiber, lower in sugar, and they have real documented cardiovascular benefits without the blood sugar cost of higher sugar fruits. Apples in moderation are another solid choice. The pectin fiber in apples specifically feeds beneficial gut bacteria that support heart health. Just eat the whole apple, not the juice. Avocados, while technically a fruit, are one of the most heart-supportive foods you can eat after 60. Healthy fats, zero sugar spike, potassium in a form the body manages well. Fifth, watch your portions. Even healthy fruit in excess creates problems. 1 serving, not 3. And sixth, if you're on heart medication, blood pressure medication, or any medication at all, have a direct conversation with your doctor specifically about how your fruit choices interact with your prescriptions. This is a conversation most doctors don't initiate, but you can. Here's the simplest way to remember all of this. After 60, your heart doesn't need more fruit. It needs smarter fruit, whole over juice, lower sugar over higher sugar, paired with protein earlier in the day. Sit always in portions that respect the fact that your body is managing glucose differently than it did 20 years ago. Let me bring it all together quickly. Pineapple in large quantities pushes blood sugar in ways aging insulin systems struggle with. Watermelon spikes glucose faster than most people expect from something that's mostly water. Dry fruits are sugar concentrates hiding behind a fruit label. Mangoes carry a heavy fructose load that stresses the liver and heart over time. Bananas interact dangerously with common heart medications when eaten in excess and when overripe. Grapes can interfere with how cardiac medications are processed in the body. Fruit juice removes the fiber that makes fruit safe and delivers liquid sugar directly to the bloodstream. And packaged smoothies are some of the most misleadingly labeled sugar delivery systems on the market. This is the information your body deserved to have years ago. You don't need a perfect diet, you just need to stop making the mistakes nobody warned you about. If someone you love is over 60 and eating these fruits every day, thinking they're doing something right for their heart, share this with them because most people are still doing this right now and they have no idea.